Your story time, we were almost homeless. Our first night in Canada. 5 mistakes to avoid as a newly landed immigrant in Canada. Let's jump right in. Kelise here and welcome back to another video, and I have a whole long list of topics that I am so excited to just get out there and start talking and conversing with you all. I've also been doing a lot of blogs and vlogs, and the videos are just a little bit more casual and less edited. That way less work for me, as you all probably know already, or for those of you all who don't know, by the way, if you don't know, you need to subscribe and go binge watch all of my videos. Yeah, I'm a mom of 2 young minions. I am an entrepreneur and I'm a newcomer to Canada. My family and I, we moved to Canada a little less than 2 years ago, and so far we've lived in 3 cities. We've lived in Calgary, Claire's home, and now we recently just purchased a house in Edmonton, Alberta, where we planned. I'm going to talk to you today about 5 things that immigrants do that are mistakes. 5 mistakes to avoid as a newly landed immigrant in Canada. Let's jump right. So mistake number 1 is being fearful of credit. So I don't know about you, probably it's different for you, but for me, when I moved to Canada, prior to that, I had never even had a credit card in my entire life, right? I'm originally from Trinidad and Tobago, and in Trinidad and Tobago, things are done pretty much with cash, right? So you walk around with cash, you pay for things in cash, and even when you do use a card, it's usually a debit card. I know, of course, that people have credit cards in Trinidad and Tobago, but it's just not as commonly used here as in Canada. For example, I can't tell you the last time I actually had cash in hand here. While back home in Trinidad, everything was cash. And I actually developed a fear of credit because of that. Like, credit was the devil, credit will end you up in debt, and you'll go bankrupt. Like, all of these crazy thoughts around credit. And as a newly landed immigrant, I quickly realized that it's a mistake to have these mindsets, because everything here revolves around credit. So as a newly landed immigrant, first thing I would say, go to your bank, get a credit card, do some research on how to use the credit card, and start building your credit. Because if you plan to buy a house, buy a car, buy anything that involves financing, you're gonna need to have credit. You're gonna need to have a credit history, right? And more importantly, you're gonna need to show that you are a responsible person. So like even simple things like getting car insurance, for example, they run your credit and you get a discounted price if you can show that you are reliable and you're responsible by having a good, healthy credit score and credit history. So first mistake, being fearful of credit, definitely a mistake. Second mistake, mistake number 2, not respecting credit. So that's like directly opposite, or not really, they go hand in hand. So credit is not something to be feared, but it is definitely something to be respected. And as a newly landed immigrant with your brand shiny new credit here in Canada, you're gonna be amazed at how many offers, how many things are gonna be thrown your way. Every grocery or store has a credit card that they wanna offer you. You want a brand new Ferrari, you probably can get it on credit, right? And I've seen a lot of immigrants fall into that pit hole of getting things that they don't need on credit, and then when they actually are ready to like purchase a house or onto a more important worthwhile investment, their credit is maybe screwed up, or it's just overloaded with all of these purchases prior on things that weren't really needed or important. So I would say respect credit. Try to keep your credit balance under 40%, try to pay off in full every single month. Like, these are simple tips, and I'm sure you could just do a simple YouTube search as well and get some really amazing tips on how to maintain a good credit score. But yeah, respect credit. That is mistake number 2. So let's move right on. Mistake number 3. I think I need to get some coffee. 1 second. Coffee intermission. All right, here we go. Mistake number 3. Mistake number 3 is probably a bit controversial. Not really, it's my opinion, so deal with it. Mistake number 3 is feeling like if you need to settle in one city because you have relatives there. So I see that it's a bit controversial, or it may not be a popular opinion, because most immigrants that I know had family or friends in Canada before landing, and that greatly influenced their decision to settle in one city over another, right? But from my point of view, I had no one. We knew no one. We didn't even have one friend in Canada, little let a family member. So when we made our decision to settle in Alberta, it was purely from just research and facts. We made that decision based on what it is we wanted. Ooh, one second. I twisted a little. We made our decision based on what it is we wanted, and we made that decision based on just like information that we could find. And the reason why I say it's a mistake to settle in a city only because you have relatives there is that that city may not be the best for what you want long term for your family, or what you want from your experience in Canada. So think about it. Why are you coming to Canada? Is it that you want that big city life? Is it that you want that small town safety? Do you want a family town? Do you want busy nightlife, social life, meet the love of your life in a nightclub? So all of these things should be a part of deciding where you want to live, right? But if you're going to a city just because you have a relative there, it may not be the best fit for you. On top of that, from like just talking to other immigrants and their experiences, you may move to a city because you have a relative there, and then the city is so expensive to live in that you cannot even afford to live there. So it makes your settlement that much harder. When you think that, okay, I'll be able to survive, or I'll be able to better thrive because I have help there, it's actually setting you back because the expenses or the cost of living there is beyond your means. So now you have to work 2-3 jobs just to keep up with living there, right? So all of the help that you would have received from your relatives actually falls flat because you're being counterproductive, right? Another thing as well is, and I know that this varies from person to person, obviously, but living or moving in with a relative may not be the most comfortable thing. I don't know about you, but I have 2 very loud, annoying kids. They annoy me sometimes. I can imagine how much they will annoy a stranger or a distant relative, right? So moving in with a relative may seem like a really good idea to save money or just to get assistance or help settling, but it just may not be the best idea for your family structure or for your desires. So I would say step out on a limb, decide where you want to live, look at your goals for your family, look at your family structure, look at your needs, and decide where it is you want to live and go for it. So a mistake would be picking a city to live in only because you have a relative living there already. On to mistake number 4. So mistake number 4 is waiting to find your dream job, right? So a lot of persons think they're coming to Canada, and let's say you're a manager in your home country, that you're going to land here and you're going to probably what? I don't know. Get a manager's job as your first job? Not that it's impossible, but it's just very highly unlikely, right? You need to remember that you're stepping into a new culture, a new society, new practices, new norms, and Canadians want to know that you have Canadian experience. They want to know that you have worked in a position in Canada and that you know their culture and you're familiar with some of the rules that they have in the workplace, right? So just coming from a Caribbean background into a Canadian background, I would say that there are some subtle differences. There are. And Canada and the Caribbean are both Western countries, right? So you would think that it's very close, it's very similar. And for the most part it is. Certain things are just taboo to do in these cultures. But I would say still, even though the cultures are similar, my first job here, I was like, ooh, okay, that's different. Ooh, okay, that's interesting. So I totally get it why employers don't necessarily prefer hiring someone who is brand fresh new immigrant. They want to at least see that you have Canadian experience first. So I say all of that to say that if you intend to land here and get your first job as a manager's job, you are preparing yourself a rude awakening. So there's something called a survival job. A survival job is the first job usually that you get when you come to Canada. It's usually not in your field whatsoever. It's probably in retail or in a grocery store or in a hardware or something. And this is the job that you get just to put on your resume so that you can then step into your career and get your dream job, right? This is that job. So the mistake that persons make is that they hold off on getting that survivor's job because they're holding out trying to get their dream job. But the survivor job is actually a stepping stone to their dream job, right? And I think with some exceptions, most immigrants that I know had a survival job. I personally had a survival job for 2 weeks. 2 weeks I worked as a job. It was in a hardware. It was not a hardware, sorry, it was in a department store. And it was a good job. It paid well. And within 2 weeks of having that on my resume, I got an offer of another job that was actually in my field, right? So that is the importance of having Canadian experience, and that is the importance of having that first survival job. In societies, people really judge you based on your job title, right? They feel like, oh, I don't want to work in a store because it's so beneath me. I will tell you that here in Canada, no one cares. No one cares. Like, you would meet someone and have a full conversation with them, and the last thing they will ask you is what you do. That would be the last thing. Like, they don't care what you do. They prefer to value you based on who you are, probably how well you speak English or French. They will judge you based on all of those things before they judge you based on what it is you do, right? So that's just my personal experience, at least. So get that survival job, do whatever you need to do to survive, and use it as a stepping stone to get your dream job. That leads us to our grand finale. Mistake number 5. So mistake number 5 as a newly landed immigrant or someone thinking to come to Canada is, drumroll, trying not to make any mistakes. So, and I know this is like, what? Mistake number 5 is trying to be perfect and trying not to get anything wrong. It's just not gonna happen. I would say that you're here and doing your research, right? This is your YouTube phase. I did it too when I was planning to come to Canada. I probably binged watched everyone on YouTube who was talking about these types of topics. But I would say I still made mistakes, and it's inevitable. You're going to make mistakes. So if you're a type of person that is very deterred from making mistakes, just prepare yourself. Know that you can prepare all that you want. It's gonna be impossible to avoid falling into these pitfalls. The most important thing though is knowing that life goes on and not hindering your progress in your immigration journey because you're afraid to make a mistake, right? Mistakes are part of the learning process. I have made some huge mistakes, like even when we first landed, we were almost homeless our first night in Canada, because I made this huge mistake. So I'll probably do that in another video, story time. We were almost homeless our first night in Canada, right? So I say all of that to say, we're still alive. We're here, we're okay, all is well, right? So all of the mistakes that I have made in these past 2 years, none of them were detrimental, right? So just keep it rolling, keep it going, keep rolling over those punches. And the most important thing is progress, not perfection, right? So guys, with that being said, give me a thumbs up if you like this video. Be sure to subscribe to my channel as well. Go binge watch all of my other videos. Be sure to follow the link in the description and connect with me on my social medias. Connect with me on Instagram in particular. I'm very responsive and very active there, and I show a lot more detail into like daily activities under the projects that I'm working on. I'm also in the process of launching my second business here in Canada, and you can fill out my survey to join the waiting list for all of the spill the tea on that special exciting project that I'm working on. And I appreciate everyone who sends me all these messages, asks me questions, make suggestions for videos. I appreciate you all so much. So don't forget, click the link in the bio on the description below. Make sure click that notification button, and subscribe. Keep safe and keep spreading positivity and love. Have a good day, guys. Bye.